You always find a way. And you will always find a way. Think back to all the times when you were faced with great difficulty in your life. Times when you were faced with unfortunate circumstances, and in the moment you couldn't possibly perceive a way out, right? Think back to all those times and fast forward today, and you realize that no matter what it is that you went through, no matter the obstacle that you face in your past, no matter what it is that life threw at you, you always find a solution to that problem. And this circumstance that you're going through, this thing that you're going through in this moment is no different. This storm that you're facing presently won't last. I think when unfortunate circumstances happen to us, it's sort of human nature for us to, become fearful, to become anxious, to become worried. And I think that if we just took the moment to reflect, and we took the moment to be present, then we'll allow ourselves to find a sense of inner peace. And we begin to realize that just as how a problem can be created, a problem can be solved as well. Just as how a problem can be created, there is a solution to that problem. I think one of the biggest concepts on my channel, since I started my channel, has been the concept of having faith. And I always talk about believing that something is working in your favor, right? And whatever that thing looks like to you, it doesn't truly matter. Many people believe in God, many people believe in source, many people believe in the creator. People believe in a lot of things, and even if you don't believe in any of those things, it costs you nothing to believe in life. But faith is such a powerful thing because it allows you to see past whatever it is that you're facing in the moment. Faith is such a powerful thing because it allows you to transcend your problems mentally. And through that transcendence of your problems mentally, you transcend them physically as well. I always say that your mind and your thoughts have to be bigger than your problems, right? And this doesn't mean that you don't see your problems, because obviously you need to see your problems to solve them. If you ignore your problems, then that doesn't make any sense, because they're gonna be there in your life still as well. So you need to see your problems, right? But what I mean is that you have to allow yourself to see beyond your problems. You have to allow yourself to see past your problems. If you only see your problems, then you're confined to your problems, right? And you don't necessarily see a solution or see a way past your problems. But when you see beyond your problems, you see both the problems and you see a solution to your problems. And I think a lot of times when we're faced with difficulty, we only allow ourselves to see our problems. And in doing so, we confine ourselves to our problems, right? We allow them to be there and be stuck in our lives and be stuck in our mind and be stuck in our world, right? But when you allow yourself to see beyond your problems, you mentally transcend your problems, right? You solve your problems even when they're physically in your mind. You see past them, right? And you see a solution even when you don't see a solution, right? And that simply means that in the moment you might not have that solution, right? You might not know what you're supposed to do to solve that thing. But this is where faith comes in, because even though you don't see the solution, you also know that a solution exists and a solution is there. I think that it's important for us to approach our problems with a state of calmness. Approach our problems with a state of clarity and a clear mind. Because I think a lot of times when our problems, they're persisting, I think it's a result of us not allowing ourselves to think clearly. Whenever I look back at a problem that I was facing, a problem that was, persistent in my life, I think what I realized is that whenever I allowed my mind to be clear and I allowed my mind to be free, then that was the moment in which I received the information that I needed to solve my problems. That's when I began to see a way out. And I think a clear mind allows you to see a way out. I think a clear mind allows you to, go beyond your problems. Alan Watts has this quote where he says that no amount of anxiety is going to make a difference for anything that is going to happen in your life, right? And I think in the same way, no amount of anxiety in the moment, based on the problem that you're facing or you face, is going to be the thing that helps you to transcend that problem. And I'm not saying for you to feel guilty for feeling how you feel. What I am saying is that you have to give yourself the space, and you have to give yourself the grace, and you have to give yourself the presence to find peace in whatever storm you're facing in the moment. And if you allow yourself to be consumed by that fear, of that anxiety, of that worry, even if you were to solve that problem physically, you will still have remnants of that problem mentally. And you will feel as if that problem is still persistent in your life. So I think a large part of truly transcending your problem, truly finding a way out, is a clear mind as a result of faith. I oftentimes describe faith as seeing the world through the eyes of God, right? And if we go back to many cultural, esoteric traditions, spiritual paths, religions, they all talk about God being omnipresent and God seeing all, right? And I think faith allows you to see through the eyes of God, in the sense that you might not see what life is throwing you in that moment, or you might not see why life is throwing you this problem in the moment, or you might not even see a solution to this problem. But because you're allowing yourself to approach your problem with a high degree of faith, you're allowing yourself to see everything and to see beyond your problems. And so faith is truly a powerful thing. Faith allows you to see a way out even when you don't see a way out. To some degree, your problems are never really the issue. As you go through life and the more you live life, the more you realize that problems will always be there in your life, right? The more you realize that no matter where you are at in life, and no matter how much money you have or where you are, there will always be problems. So you never truly have complete control of your external world, in the sense that you can't necessarily prevent everything from happening. But the one thing that you can control, or the one thing that you can be control of, is your reaction to those things. It's how you perceive those things, right? And I think that it's important for us to, allow ourselves to see beyond them. I think it's important to allow ourselves to see a way out. I think it's important to allow ourselves to be at peace even in the midst of chaos, and to truly understand that nothing persists forever, and your problems will not persist forever. Just as how they were created, they can be solved and they will be solved. And so whatever you're feeling in this moment, you have to allow yourself to come to a place of peace. You have to allow yourself to rest in the presence that exists within you. And you have to realize that whatever you're facing in this moment is going to be solved. You're going to find a solution. Just as how you found a solution for all the things that happened in your past, you're going to find a solution for this as well. And so you have to allow yourself to be free of the mental turmoil that you're inflicting on yourself. And realize that just as how a problem can be created, it can be solved as well. And just as how you solved all the problems in your past, this problem is no different. So be at peace and rest in that peace that exists within you. And have faith that whatever storm you're going through in this moment, whatever it is that you're facing in this moment, you're going to find a solution. And you're going to rise above it. And you're going to overcome it. Peace and blessings.